Sound okay? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to Penang Institute. Um, this is for us, especially my people here. This is a very exciting event at Penang Institute. We are going to learn, we've seldom done that, but we are going to learn today to cook a few dishes, or at least to watch an expert do it in front of us. And that expert is an old friend, Dr. Ong Jin Teong, who's sitting up here in front. Welcome. Now, you would all have read about him in the poster and in the news as well. He's an author of quite a few books. And of course, you've read about him during his many events held here as well. What you see in the poster for this event are several new things. In a way, we are giving you a taste of the Georgetown Literary Festival that is to be held at the end of November, which Penang Institute has now decided to organize. You might have read about it. What we are actually trying to do as a new initiative and inspired by the GTLF idea itself is for the Institute to be holding what we will call GTLF Plus events. And this is the first, the GTLF Plus. We're using that branding, and we will be holding events as and when throughout the year and into the next year as well. These are all meant in turn to inspire Penang people to discover books, rediscover the joy of reading, and more importantly, participate in lifelong learning. So watch out for GTLF events in the coming months. There are more to cover. These are meant to cover all sorts of events that are aimed at public education and public engagement. It could be to introduce people to the publishing industry today, to the employment possibilities involved. It could be to raise digital literacy or financial literacy even. It could be to encourage public speaking, debate skills, and social speaking skills, as broadly as we can get it. Today's event, which includes a cooking demonstration, highlights not only the very special dishes involved, but also the art of cookbook writing. It goes down in history, in Penang Institute's history, as the first GTLF Plus event. Now, the first time I saw this book and the first time I was given a copy of this book, this was quite a few months ago now, Dr. Ong, right? This was at Gurney Plaza. We met there for a meal. It was not a Nonya meal, it was a Thai meal, I think. But you want variety as well. So thank you for that book. And from that point on, the idea stayed sort of in the back of my mind. So when the GTLF idea came to us, I thought it might actually be a good thing to have an event like this, where we actually not only highlight the importance of writing, in this case, cookbook writing, but also how useful it is to normal people. Now, why I say normal people is that I wish when I lived overseas a long, long time ago that I had a book like that. I didn't. So what I had to do was to go around the Swedish stalls and buy whatever they had and try to make something Malaysian out of it. Right? And over time, of course, you do come up with some dishes that are quite okay. No names to them, no proper recipes, and you, after a few tries, you sort of get it edible. Right? But in the end, the only people who have tasted these dishes, very special Malaysian created dishes, are members of my family, right? No one else will ever taste them. They're more or less forgotten. I've forgotten most of the recipes. But if I had had your book, Dr. Ong, I think I might have enjoyed my stay overseas much more. So I hope in the future that your children, or maybe even yourself, will be able to take this book along and make do, as it were, when you can't even get the right recipes and so on and so forth. But as I said, it was all quite fun making up your own dishes, but it's never the same. It's never the same as the dishes made up by an expert like Dr. Ong. They were never taste of home, if I put it that way. They may have been taste of a new home, but not the same thing, really, right? Now, what Dr. Ong is offering young Malaysians today who have to be away from home for whatever reasons, be it work, travel, or studies, are easy chances to bring along the comfort of home in the form of dishes we are used to. That is what is fun about this latest book by him. He's not trying to only document Nyonya dishes, which he has done enough of, I think, or to discuss their authenticity and variations. He's offering you a way to take them with you when you are away from home. I think I've read the project correctly that way. And today, he's going to show us how we can cook Nyonya when in a foreign land. With that, he's in fact also showing us how anchored in Malaysia, in Penang, these Nyonya dishes actually are, and how addicted our Penang tongues are to these fragrances, these colors, and these memories. So welcome, Dr. Ong Jin Teong to Penang Institute again. Welcome to all of you as well, who are hoping to get a taste of his cooking today. If there's anything I wish to say about this man, it is that he's a man of passion for the uniqueness, the development, and the preservation of Nyonya dishes. Today, he demonstrates to us that very passion and invites us to share it with him. So I think I shall hand over the floor and the kitchen to Dr. Mei Ting, who will introduce Dr. Ong in more detail than I have done. And thank you all of you for being here today, this afternoon. I hope you enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wee Bing, for welcoming all of us here today. Now, allow me to briefly introduce the esteemed author of the book that we are launching today, Dr. Ong Jin Teong. Ong Jin Teong, a Penang-born culinary author and researcher, grew up in a Nyonya family where cooking was encouraged by his mother. His passion for cooking started early, earning his cook's badge in school by preparing traditional Penang dishes. Later, he pursued a career in electrical engineering in London, earning a master's and a PhD. His professional career took him to Cable and Wireless Limited and Nanyang Technological University in Singapore as an associate professor, leading the division of electronic engineering from 1985 to 1991. Upon his retirement in 2005, Dr. Ong turned his focus to his passion for Penang heritage food. His first book, Penang Heritage Food, published in 2011, explored traditional recipes and their histories, winning a Best Culinary History Award. His second book, Nyonya Heritage Kitchen, published in 2016, detailed the origins of Nyonya cuisine across Penang, Singapore, and Malacca. His third book, The Taste of Home, the book which we are launching today, featured simple recipes for beginners. In addition to his writing, Dr. Ong has been active in promoting and preserving Nyonya cuisine through cooking classes, workshops, and demonstrations in Penang and Singapore, often on a voluntary basis. Ladies and gentlemen, now the moment that we've been waiting for, the author himself, Dr. Ong Jin Teong, will be sharing his insights with us. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ong to the stage.
Oh. Is it? Already, is it? Okay. Yeah, okay. Testing. Okay. I don't need this. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Uh, let me get orientated here first. Let me try the. Okay. All right. Sharing my journey, my books, all right, and challenges. So I think a lot of people, actually, a lot of my friends doesn't know I write cookbooks. So I think a lot of you also don't know what I have been doing all these years. Okay. So I just very quickly talk about my journey. Let me. Do I point it that here or here? Okay. Yeah, very briefly, I'll talk about my journey, family, school, university, and then talk about the books, how it all started. And then I spend a bit more time on the challenges, and then talk about future. All right, this is, that's my mother, and that's my father. And he is actually active member of the Chinese Swimming Club. So in fact, he represented Malaysia in the China Olympics. How many people know there was such a thing as China Olympics? All right. That's the house that we grew up in the junction of McAllister Road and Lorong Susu. All right. And then a bit older, we moved to Iving Road, not very far away. That's when we moved in here. And if you recognize this guy, he sells satay, well, outside the house in those days. And his son used to sell satay in Bangkok Lane. He's retired now. So this is the Ong side of the family. That's my grandmother. And that's my that's grandfather, grandmother. He's on the Lim side of the family. And they used to live in this little house by the seaside in Tanjung Tokong village. So my grandfather actually has the his father actually was also born in Malaya, and interestingly, the birth certificate shows the mother to be a Malay. Right? But the official explanation is that she was the midwife who reported the birth. Right? Only a DNA can tell what's the real story. Ku Beng Chang is my grandfather on my mother's side. He actually passed away on the year I was born. I didn't know very much about him, except we only found recently that he is actually a very prominent member of the Kuomintang. All right, and he was one of the founder members of the Tanglin High School and the Fukien Girls High School, which is now Penang Chinese High School. So that house I showed you is actually in McAllister Road, one side of Lorong Susu. The other side of Lorong Susu is where the Fukien High School is, Chinese school, which is now the San Yat San. That's where the Kuomintang. That's my grandmother. She's actually from Balik Pulau. So quickly, I spent my 11 years in St. Saviour's, and this was the hut that was my class, primary one. This is much better condition when I was there, it was a bit pathetic. When it rains, it leaks. Anyway, that was 1952. I think the school moved to the new building in 1954. All right. So a lot of my time spent on scout movement. And, in getting to the Penang Raja, we picked up quite a lot of life skills, including cooking. We do all sorts of things for the scout badges. We go to the fire station to learn how for firefighting. We go to botanical gardens to learn about plants and how to propagate plants. All sorts of course, we climb up and down ropes, first aid, all right. So we do externship. So today I can chop down any tree with no problem at all. And then obviously I was actually doing a lot of swimming, represent the state in swimming. St. Xavier's was an excellent school. There were some very good teachers. Among them was Brother T. Michael, who was the director at that time, and Brother Charles. And Brother Michael was amazing. I don't understand how he knows all our names, So the next journey is in London. I studied engineering, electrical engineering, and then got a scholarship to do a master's and a PhD from Imperial College. So it was difficult to find Malaysian food. So I had to do my own cooking. And that was the only appliance I have for cooking. That was one of my scouting days. While in London, my ex-professor came along and said, "Look, are you interested in joining this new institution in Singapore?" He was the advisor for this. I said yes, and that's how I ended in Singapore. All right. So I actually spent a lot of time doing research in wireless and radio systems. Oops, I think, wait a minute. I missed, I think the slides, okay, sorry. Yeah, let's get back again. Okay, so after I graduated, I actually joined a telecommunication company called Cable Wireless, and they sent me to Caribbean. It's a nice place. So, and this is the Eastern Caribbean. I don't know whether you're familiar. If you go to from the Central America, you have the British Virgin Islands in the north, and then you go all the way south to Grenada and Trinidad. All right, and that's the Eastern Caribbean. So I spent about 2 years visiting all the radio stations up there. All right, and then I returned to London, where I did the design of wireless systems. All right, so I spent quite a few months overseas visiting the cable wireless installations. Now, this is actually this guy from Oman. I spent, and how many people have been to Dubai, right? When I was there, this was Jabal Ali, which is about 10 kilometers outside of the Dubai town. Today, it's not there. It's all flat. It's all built up. Okay, now back to talking about books. I actually started writing, recalling the memories of what happens in our childhood days. and our picnics were grand affairs. All right. This is the multi-generation, grandchildren, the grandmother, and then sometimes it extends into the night where we even do our own cooking. You can see this is all very dark, right? And this canoe actually was built by me and my cousin Gibun Ki. After I finished my sixth form of waiting into the university, my cousin bought the design, the plans, and actually we built it from scratch. All right. So that was the memory. All right. And then for the book, I was assembling the recipes of my mother. All right. And eventually the thought was, how do we preserve these recipes? And then the other reasons, like my daughter was in London, and he sent me an email and say, how do you make satay? Right? So that's how it all started. Very fortunately, I have a friend, a good friend, and a cousin who knows the publisher, and so it was not a big problem because the publisher said, he has a book on Singapore heritage food, and he wanted to do something on Penang heritage. So that's how we got started. And then I started looking at all the books that, about food. Oops, sorry, wrong. Okay. All right. So the first book took about 5 years. All right. So that's as long probably about the time it takes to do a PhD. Right? Now I look back into those times, and I realized that this is one of the first books that has, all the books those days were all about cooking. All right. And this was one of the first books that talked about the history and the origins and include family photographs and photographs about food. All right. And now this is very unusual because you don't get photograph of food in those days, not like today. All right. So I actually went back and searched, and I found that a lot of these photographs are taken by my actually father. So that's my two siblings with my mother cooking. So Penang heritage food is about heritage food influenced by Malay, Hokkien, Hainanese, Indian, and European influences. And then we came to the second book, and I had this idea of having a book about objects used for cooking. All right. And then I wanted to edit the recipes, but then my publisher persuaded me to change it to heritage, Nyonya Heritage Kitchen, which means that I had to do a lot of research to work out, the Nyonya dishes from Malacca and Singapore, which are actually some are quite different and some are similar. So I spent a lot of time researching on the differences, and then eventually I thought I actually wrote some articles to characterize the Nyonya cuisine. Right. Somebody said, my first book was more about sort of dishes, and what about koi? And this one actually has more about koi. So, okay, how many of you remember sisagon? Oh, that's good. Okay. I don't think you can buy in Penang anymore. I think you might just about get it in Singapore or Phuket. This is sisagon. It's actually grated coconuts. You put in a little and then you eat it. All right. You have to be very careful because if you go into the and then this is actually chiap miso. Actually, it's actually the it's like curry puff, but it's not. The filling is like the popiah filling. All right, and the batter, I mean the dough is actually rice. All right, so that's another sort of lost, but it's in the book. So we come to this book, which, as Dr. Wee already explained, it's all. It actually started. It was written for those who are going overseas to study. But I found that it is excellent for people who want to learn to cook. Now, it is very relevant today because there are not that many people who can cook our local food today. All right. And it actually starts very basic food safety. All right. Cutting and slicing. So you look at this onion, one onion you can cut in so different ways, so many different ways. Talk about ingredients, utensils, and frying. All right. Then there are chapters on eggs because eggs are one of the easiest thing to find as a student. I find because it's got a long shelf life. You can cook it in so many ways. So we have eggs. Okay, and then rice and porridge. Again, they are also quite easy to do. There's another chapter on noodles, and then there's a large chapter on main dishes where we deal with meat, vegetables, soups, and curries. And then finally, a dessert. All right, so for eggs, we start off with simple sandwiches, and then we have this on way. This is the dark, like scrambled eggs is actually a heirloom family recipe. And then I thought, let's make it a bit more complicated for those who want to get them more interested. So we do this Fu Yong Hai. It's basically fried uh, uh, shark's fins. But today we are not, I mean, we don't use shark's fins here. We use the tang hun, the green, the glass noodles. All right. And then there are, so there are different type of noodles. And there's also miswa soup, which we will also do today. Oh, by the way, oh, oh. Is it? Oh, how do which go? Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. All right. Then for the main dishes, we have simple things like Chinese sausages, cabbage, and we will actually cook this all right, using beef. And then we have this is a vegetarian curry, and some desserts. Okay, then I want to talk a little bit about the challenges. All right, how to preserve the recipes, because there are actually a few. I mean, there's good books about Penang, Nonya food. All right, but there is not enough variety. So what I propose is setting up a repository to preserve traditional recipe of our time. In other words, my time. Right. So I intend to pass my collection to this repository. Now, what about other people? All right. I think we actually need to collect recipes from other people. Okay, but there is a problem because whether it's hard copy or soft copy, if it's hard copy, uh, where's the resources to do the scanning? If it is all the space. All right. So for the time being, if anybody wants to contribute recipes, you let me know, and then we will try and put it all in one place. If you have a large collection, then you have to talk directly to the Penang Institute because this is a difficult issue. Okay, so this is the archiving issue. The the other issue is the IT will lead to a homogenization of the Nonya or traditional recipes, which is actually not a good thing for us. All right. So we have to ensure that our Penang hawker food or Nonya food is distinctly Penang and not adulterated by the influences from Malacca and actually Singapore. So I say here we need to inculcate a personal ownership of family recipes. Now this is actually very important to preserve our recipes because if we don't do that, okay, I'll give you a good example. All right. My wife will cook food from her family using her family recipe. If it is any other recipe, she goes to YouTube. All right. And that is the problem. All right. If our children and grandchildren goes to YouTube to learn how to cook, we are in trouble. I mean, I'm talking about local food, not okay. So, right, important to preserve the recipes. The other thing is to preserve the culinary culture, and so unfortunately, it's very labor intensive. All right. Now, if I look at my own family, uncles, out of every family, there may be only one in the family who cooks regularly. All right. That's not that great number. All right. So we actually need to encourage the young to cook. And one way of doing it is to make the cooking easier. All right. I mean, a lot of people say you must do it this way, and it's all this complicated. You mustn't use that. You cannot use machine. You must tumbo or whatever it is. But there are now what they call multi-pot devices or appliances, like the Thermomix, which actually can do a lot of things and save a lot of time. Okay. Now, I wouldn't say like the Thermomix because that's very expensive. But now there are look-alike, which are a fraction of the cost. All right. So let me give you an example. For example, a Thermomix, I can make kaya quite easily. I program the machine, I go and sit and do something else, and I once in a while have a look and change the setting. And that's what the difference is. All right. So you have now multi-port devices like Ninja and various other things, which actually helps to make the cooking easier. And we need to interest the children or the next generation, especially when they are young. your generation who went to local schools had domestic science. And that's why there is a lot of people who can still cook. But today, there is no domestic science classes, right? Even if you are talking about culinary schools in Malaysia, or I don't know, Penang, the priority is not about local food, it's about Western food. And the other thing we need to do is to encourage the family to cook together, to bond together. In those days, we actually go and make Chinese New Year cookies or what do you call it? Roll the yeah, quick up it, and then the children get all the bits and pieces to eat. Oh, my favorite is new fusion, old fusion, new fusion, and confusion food. All right. All right. So I always say new fusion becomes old fusion if accepted. All right. Otherwise, it will be confusion. But who decides is acceptable? All right. Now you can go to a lot of restaurants today in Penang where you have all this new fusion food, and okay, maybe Penang lah. How many of you go to these places? All right, it's actually the visitors. So it's the visitors who decide what is commercially acceptable. All right, the chefs are also not local. All right, so that is the problem. And I'll just say a little bit about our Penang hawker food. I find fish balls and eggs in laksa and curry mee. Okay, for Malay laksa, it's fine. Malay laksa always have eggs. Yeah. So what do we do about all these things? Right? And I order kolo mee, expecting to have some soup, but no, they don't. They won't serve. I went to a place. They said why? Because the drink store said if you serve soup, they don't buy my drinks. So we have a problem there. Okay, so now talking about the future, I already talked about preservation of recipes, and I talked about the preservation of our, our culture, the culinary culture. All right. So that is just an issue. We need to encourage the younger generation to cook their own traditional recipes. Okay, these are two photographs about 60 years apart. All right. That is my mother and two siblings, and that's my wife, my daughter, and granddaughter cooking. Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite Dr. Wiki Beng on stage for a photo session to mark the launch of The Taste of Home.
The book is officially launched and on sale.
Right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. You can take your seat now. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be in a transition period right now to set up for the cooking demonstration. So meanwhile, we will actually have a little entertainment. We'll be playing a video, a song, and Dr. Ong can explain what the song is all about. Feel free to join.
Can we, after my first book, my good friend and classmate, Madhikam Saravaramuthu, actually wrote the words for this song using the tune from Harry Belafonte's song. So it took me ages to actually get the photographs together and got my niece to actually put it all. So, okay, anyway, we'll come back to this. Are there any questions on the what I just talked about earlier on? Are there any questions?
Hello. Hi, I'm Melvin. You mentioned your time in East Caribbean. Any thoughts or insights to share about the food there?
Well, uh, okay, I actually was in Barbados, and Barbados is all they do in Barbados is grow sugarcane. And actually, it's a volcanic island, so a lot of things are imported. So fruits very limited. All right, because the whole island is. But if you go to say other islands like Saint Vincent, they are more like tropical. All right, and not really. I mean, we can find Indian food so called because they are not quite local. But places like Saint Vincent, they will eat breadfruit, for example, instead of rice. All right. So it's actually nothing fantastic about you know the the rice we have to put up is actually parboiled rice. Already have eaten parboiled rice. The smell is terrible. All right. It took us a long time because after 6 months you don't the smell. You just okay. Uh, anyway, that was
Are there any more questions? No, we are happy to take questions now as we set up.
ah. Oh, Naslina. Oh, okay, okay. Uh, well, we are okay. We cannot be too particular about. Yes, I agree. No, we have a. I mean, we have a lot of changes in spelling. Actually, I'm also very confused because you see, what happens is that I know about dropping the H and so on, right? And whether we should use E or I, all right? So yes, I apologize if it's yes, yes, yeah. I'm especially confused because the Nonya, the Peranakan, Chinese Peranakans in Malacca and actually Singapore have their own spelling, and I'm completely confused by their spelling because I cannot pronounce it. All right, that's even worse. Okay, yes, I take your point.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Dr. Ong, Dr. Ui, and everybody, Dr. Bear. Okay, I just want to ask two questions. One question is about what are the differences between the recipes, the culinary, the serving, that what nyonya or the food of the present versus the traditional, the old traditional versus the modern now. Now you have all this, like they introduce back the nyonya cooking nowadays versus the previous one. Are they the same or are they different? And because we see Penang is a food haven, a lot of food is, but what are the health consciousness regarding the food? Because a lot of this nasi kandar, they open 24 hours and all these things, a lot of oil, recycled oil, all these things. So in terms of health consciousness, there's also another perspective. And then one more thing is the linkage between agricultural tourism, aquacultural tourism, gastronomical tourism, from farm to table, all these things. You have any ideas on that and any linkages on that? Okay, maybe PTEC or something can know about this also further. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, so many the points to answer. I I can only talk about the our heritage food. All right. Now, first of all, I think our heritage food is basically a hybrid system. All right, it's a hybrid between the Malay and Hokkien and various religions. I mean, various races. So the thing is, for it to survive, we have to adapt to the local conditions or various reasons for cost and other things. All right. But at the same time, I personally would like to preserve the rich dishes of my time or your time. All right. So that future generation, if they want decide to do that, they can do it. But we cannot actually stop people from actually evolving. Okay. Now, the only thing when I talk about new fusion, old fusion, and confusion, now the question is who decides? All right. It's a very difficult question to say because I don't know of any organization that can actually do it effectively. I'll give you an example. All right. A few years ago, there was a Nonya competition in spice. And one participant was penalized because the judges, I don't know who the judges are, decided that one of the dishes was not Peranakan or not Nonya. So we have this problem. All right. So the best we can do is to try and just record what we have today. And this is why I'm actually talking about collecting more recipes because we have Penang flavors, which is done a great job. Julie Wang and people did a great job. But they have only one recipe to represent the whole of Penang. And this is why we need to collect all recipes from as many sources as possible so that if anybody wants to know what is like Penang laksa or Penang Hokkien mee, does it have eggs or it doesn't have eggs, we can then come to a consensus. All right. What happens into the next generation? We hope we can do something by encouraging the young to cook. If you're talking about nutrition, that's a bit more complicated. You see, what happens is that our Nonya cooking is actually quite healthy because we don't eat too much protein. All right, if you notice, a lot of the Nonya food has a small amount of meat and vegetables and tofu, for example. Okay, so yeah, oil is another issue. I'm not going to talk about that.
I believe we are ready to start the cooking demonstration now.
How are we doing for time?
Very good.
Okay.
Later, I think. Shallots are.
Sorry, just some organization. We don't need this. Sorry, just a minute. Okay. We we are going to do quite a lot of dishes today. Okay. So let me start by talking about the green bean soup. That's what we will start off with. Are we putting up the? Yeah. So we're doing green bean soup today, and the green beans have been actually soaked. It has been soaked for about 2 hours. All right. So we will switch on the rice cooker, and it should be ready. Sorry, it should boil about half an hour. We add the sugar and the pandan. All right. So our MC will after that. Okay. Then beef. All right. So I will marinate that first, and then we go on to do the other dish. Okay. So that's the green bean soup. So you can see this is one portion. So we are actually doing 3 portions. All right. Okay. I think it's not. Oh, I think I have to. This is something. Can you hear? Okay, okay. Can you show the next slide? Okay, I'm doing the marination. Oh, maybe you literally don't need this yet. Okay. Okay, so today we are using beef fillet instead of so first thing to do is to slice this thing, and we normally slice against the grain. So you see the grain goes this way. So we cut that way. So there's soya sauce, and that's actually a lot of pepper.
So that is black sauce, soy sauce, and a lot of pepper in the marinade. A tablespoon of sugar.
Uh, Instructions, because agar cooking is not for the uninitiated. Okay. Okay, we will leave this. So I'm only just doing the marination day. All right. So now we go. Watch this. Wait, I need the. Okay. Okay. Next thing we will do is we do this on way. We need a small bowl for. Oh no, wait later. I'll do it later. Okay, so we
So notice how the master chef is slicing the shallots.
okay. The shallots are cut in rings. All right, not the other way. Okay, if you do it for ulam, you will cut it the other way. Where's the ladle? The I think it maybe is it? No. It was the metal one. Is it? Can you get it? It probably is. Okay, this metal. This is not. That was it. Yeah. Okay. So we have. Sesame oil, black sauce, you give me the ladle. Sorry. Okay. You fry this until some of it is slightly burned. All right. The plate. Yeah. It's okay. idea is that the egg should not be overcooked. All right, so you can see the white still, yeah. Actually, you could break the egg, yeah. Don't, yeah, heat it up and put it low. Okay, so we have mushrooms. This is I'm doing Fuyong Hai, okay? This is supposed to be shark fins, fried shark fin. All right? But I just tang hun, okay? So there's carrots that's already sliced, bamboo shoots, spring onions. Oh, wait, ham. Okay. I use turkey ham here, okay? Yeah, I think it's coming up. Oh, the needle. No, the other one. Can you get the metal one? The one that they wash. Yeah. Yeah. So you need to break up the onions actually because they, yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Just a second. So I'll start with the carrots first because the carrots take longer to cook. You can put- turn it off. And then I put the mushrooms. that's the problem with induction. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Sorry.
So we have the mushrooms, the carrots, the shallots, and the bamboo shoots, and the ham inside all already. Next, a pinch of salt in the eggs. And now the fake shark fin, which is actually the tanghun.
Don't stir too often.
So you're not supposed to stir it too often. Okay. And then now we add on the spring onions. I will plate it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fuyong Hai. Hai.
Yeah, this will do. Oh, we have sugar already. Okay. Okay, next one we're doing is this about, so this got marinated meat and onion rings. So I'll cook the onion ring very briefly. Can you give me some more? Honey. Okay, put honey.
Very important ingredient here, the honey. And then we add in the onions and fry it all together. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The O Bak Tian. Now we'll be
Yeah,
going
sorry.
on to the
Wrong,
miso
wrong.
soup.
I need to pour out the water. Sorry, I forgot. Maybe pour away the water. I need to, and then dry it. Okay, thank you. So, okay, we're doing the miso. I boil the water. All right, so this is actually boiling. This is the pandan. I think put this first, this whole one. If it's not enough, we put this, okay? Yeah, all in. Yeah, all in. I think we are going too fast. Let it. Okay. Be careful, don't overflow. Just look at. Okay. So um, the beans are okay, but I think we need a bit of longer for it to cook. All right. Don't need really. You got it. Okay, we got. I just fried the garlic. Oh, I think we did this. Now you have to be very careful with garlic because it gets burned very quickly. All right. So it's nearly ready. So I fried the dried prawns. Normally, if you have stock, you use it. Otherwise, you can use chicken cubes, just a bit. So we got to blanch the miswa first. No, leave it to boil because it's not very cooked.
This is the perils that Dr. Ong has to go through working with young people who may or may not know how to cook at home. When I was told that apart from emceeing, I have to be Dr. Ong's sous chef, I said, you know, anything goes wrong, my mom's in the audience, so I'll just call her. But I believe if I do need any help, I'm sure there are many good cooks in this room right now.
Okay, I'll put the produce first because otherwise this one will get a bit too. We break the two. This one is quite straightforward. Put a bit of sesame would be nice. Okay, so that's the 4 dishes. Unfortunately, our beans are not quite ready yet. let it go. Yeah, no, leave it. Sorry, we, so okay, actually, what I want to demonstrate today is that it's not, it is not that difficult to cook. I mean, the main thing is the preparation. I think if you prepare everything ready and washing up, of course, all this help us to go and do all the. What have we done for? We're doing very well. Why don't you play the song? Can you? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to come up front to have a closer look, or if you like to.
Thank you. How do you find it?
Did you find your engineering background was helpful in your cooking?
Yes, yes. You you got to know the cause and effect.
Yeah, that's
All right, because there are so many.
Suddenly the aircon is not cold anymore.
His miso soup,
Yes.
the first ingredient is what?
First thing is the garlic, fried the garlic. Yeah.
Very different. I just myself miso soup.
Yeah.
For lunch,
Okay.
compared to this.
As long as it tastes good. Ladies and gentlemen, the books are also for sale. You can feel free to ask the author to sign it for you after this. And when the green pea soup is ready, we will place them all outside and then all of you can have sample the green pea soup.
No worries. After
Later,
this,
later lah, after they settle down
but we
first.
let them talk that. Maybe we will.
Yeah, yeah.
We remind them to play 16